We have a 2-land hand. We have Mausoleum Wanderer turn 1, no play turn 2. So this is actually kind of a tough keep. Did we get the play here? Where's my chat box? So we are on the draw. Not a great hand, but I think we're going to go ahead and keep it, and this will be an experiment. It'll tell us a little bit more about the deck. Okay, Supreme Phantom, a fantastic draw. We're going to be able to swing for 3 with a Wanderer and hold it up as a Spell Pierce. As for what land I want to get here, we have access to white and green in the Horizon Canopy. So I'm going to want to get Hallowed Fountain. Alright, we aren't going to want to hit 6. We'll hit 2 instead, so that if they make a play that we want to counter, we do have the option to use the Mausoleum Wanderer. But I would like to use the Wanderer as a pseudo lightning bolt for turn 2. That would be my preference. Okay, so we'll play the Botanical Sanctum instead of the Canopy here. Play Supreme Phantom, and our plan here is to attack for 3. Alright, I like it when a plan comes together. Okay, Growth Spiral. So this is some kind of Uro Omnath pile. We have the Apparition if things get out of hand this turn, but we'll have Spell Queller for next turn if we're allowed to go that far. Okay, so Lightning Bolt on the Supreme Phantom. We could counter that for 2, but they could easily pay it. We'll just let that resolve. And then we're going to be holding up Spell Queller here. Play the Horizon Canopy. It can camouflage what we're doing with our mana here. We're leaving 3 mana open, which is suspect, but because we have the Canopy, they may also consider the mana open to draw a card if our hand is just garbage. But we know it's so that we have the Spell Queller. Okay, they're bringing the Lightning Bolt back on top of the library there. Lightning Bolt is a very good card against us, and quite good against the Spell Queller. So we could put a Spell Queller down just to increase our clock here. It's not a terrible plan, actually. Not great. Definitely not great, but we do need to put some pressure on the opponent, so we're just going to throw the Queller out. Start attacking. Okay, so we get Rattlechains, an excellent card. We'll just play the Breeding Pool untapped. We have Collected Company ready to go. We'll attack for 3 and pass the turn, holding up Spell Queller. If they want to cast the Lightning Bolt, that's fine. Okay, here's another Growth Spiral. So if we counter the Growth Spiral, they'll have the Lightning Bolt to replay it. However, if they fetch here, they lose the Lightning Bolt. Okay, so I think the Lightning Bolt is gone. I don't think they drew a card. No, they draw a card with Growth Spiral, so they do have the Lightning Bolt in hand. Okay, end of turn, we'll collect a company. No counterspell, very nice for us. We'll put in Rattlechains and Hierarch. Rattlechains is very strong here, giving all our spirits flash, including the Skyclave Apparition. Could have done without the Hierarch, though. What do we have here? Oh, Electrolyze. Okay. So they're dealing damage to my spirits here. We might as well go ahead and sacrifice this, make them pay the extra mana. And they'll be able to get the Rattlechains. Unfortunate. We have Rattlechains to save the Spell Queller here, if they decide to Lightning Bolt on our turn. But, yeah, that's kind of what I figured they would do. Definitely better to use the Lightning Bolt now before I have the option of saving my critter. Okay, here's another Sanctuary. Are you putting Lightning Bolt back on top? Electrolyze instead. Okay, another Rattlechains. So I think we probably just pass here. We could attack for 1, though. Attacking for 1 seems fine, but then we wouldn't be able to Rattlechain Spell Queller. I think we'll pass, hold up all of our mana, so that we can play 2 spells. Let's see if they blink here. Okay, they're going to let the Rattlechains resolve. So we're just going to, I think we'll draw a card, actually. The Rattlechains already has hexproof, so we don't have to worry about the Electrolyze. Okay, we can put the Supreme Phantom into play, then we'll have the Rattlechains to protect our board. We do miss out on Spell Queller in that play, but Rattlechains takes care of most of the threats that the opponent would have. And this will allow us to get an extra point of damage in this turn. Okay, it looks like maybe a counterspell here. Oh, the Electrolyze is coming in now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and Rattlechains to protect our Rattlechains. We will lose the Hierarch here, but we'll still have access to 3 mana, which will let us play our Apparition or Spell Queller. And we've got a pretty good clock on the board here. Looks like 7 damage next turn. What is this? Shark Typhoon. Okay, yeah, that'll trade with the Rattlechains. Okay, another land here. Glasspool Mimic is interesting. I think we'll just attack for 4 and pass the turn. Hold up Spell Queller. We are also holding up the Apparition, but the Glasspool Mimic cannot be cheated in with the Rattlechains. It specifically looks for spirits. Oh, another Shark Typhoon. Okay. Skyclave Apparition specifically says non-token creatures, so we cannot eliminate that 4/4. Okay, so they will take 3 here. Okay, so they're attacking with the shark. We'll take the damage. We're going to... Oh, we can't put the Apparition into play. We don't have enough white mana. I just realized that now. They might have another Shark Typhoon in hand, but we can't just be sitting back on our heels here. Okay, here's a Lightning Bolt. Let's go ahead and quell that. And they remand. Okay, so we're pretty dead here. Probably should have played the Glasspool Mimic as a tapped land there. Slight misplay, but I don't think that it's actually going to matter at all. Pretty sure that the opponent is just winning here. The 4/4 flyer is something that we can't really deal with right now. We don't have a Reflector Mage, per se. Skyclave Apparition, as I said, doesn't target tokens. Okay, Snapcaster Lightning Bolt ends the game. So let's go to sideboarding. Let's see here. Unified Will seems fine. Force of Negation seems okay. I don't think we want to be bringing in Path to Exile. The Skyclave Apparitions weren't doing very much that game. They seem to be quite the control deck. Although it might be wrong taking those out if they do have Omnath. Bringing in Force of Negation and Unified Will, I would like to take out Collected Company. Although that is a good card against control lists. So it's between, do I want Collected Company or Skyclave Apparition? Skyclave is going to be pretty good at dealing with our Planeswalkers, which I'm sure they have a number of. I think I do want to keep the Selfless Spirit in. They could definitely have access to sweepers. So I think I'm satisfied with the sideboarding here. Let's go ahead and submit and see what happens. Okay, so we will take the play. We have a 4-land hand, which isn't great, but we can play the Drogskol Captain quite quickly. And we have Horizon Canopy to start drawing cards. Not sure if this hand is better than a random 6. I'm going to keep it. That could be a mistake. But I think Moorland Haunt is going to be very good versus control. So we need to get a blue land with Flooded Strand. We could go get Breeding Pool to play it right away, or we could just start with Horizon Canopy, so we could start with Noble Hierarch. We could also start with Mausoleum Wanderer and then attack for 2 when we play Hierarch on the second turn. This would also give us access to counter magic. And our Drogskol Captain on turn 2 doesn't seem very good if we don't have a spirit ready to go. So I'm going to go get Hallowed Fountain, play Mausoleum Wanderer, and we'll play Hierarch later. Okay, another Mausoleum Wanderer, very cool. Playing the Wanderer pre-combat will buff our first Wanderer, so we'll attack for 3 here. And we've got some counter magic ready to go. Okay, that's just a tap land. And we have the Drogskol Captain, which can no longer be countered. Fantastic. So we'll attack for 6 here. It's looking pretty good so far. Supreme Verdict would be one of the cards that we have to watch out for. But if that happens, our Moorland Haunt is going to start going off. Okay, they're just playing a land tapped and passing back. They only have access to 2 mana. We'll play the Haunt, I think. And attack all. We'll leave the Hierarch back, actually. It's not going to do any damage. All of our creatures fly, so they can't be blocked by a Snapcaster Mage. Okay, and then we'll just pass here. We have access to drawing a card with a Canopy if we want. If one of our creatures die, if we use a Wanderer as a counterspell, we can Moorland Haunt. Okay, so they have access to Cryptic Command. Unfortunate that we draw another land here. Let's go to combat. I'm just wondering if I want to drop a land first. I don't think there's any harm in dropping a land right now. Okay, so this looks like... Oh, this is a Shark Typhoon. Cycling, so we cannot counter it. And that'll be able to block the Drogskol Captain and get that off the board. They'll go to 1 in doing it, and then we'll have Moorland Haunt to make another threat. So the opponent does have 7 cards in hand, but none of those cards were an answer. So we managed to grab that one. I don't think I want to change anything about the board here. So we're just going to submit the deck and go in for game 3. Looks like the opponent is taking their time on deciding how to sideboard here. Alright. So we have a 1-land hand with a bunch of 3-drops. We are going to have to mulligan, but our opponent is mulliganing as well. Okay, this hand is a little bit better. We have Force of Negation, but we have a hand full of 3-drops. I do like the Moorland Haunt, so I think we'll just get rid of the snow-covered plains here. But we have a very slow hand, so that's unfortunate. We just get a land off the top. Hopefully we can draw something good here on our turn 2. But I really did not want to mulligan to 5. Especially when we had the Force of Negation. Go ahead and get a tap land here. We'll get the Hallowed Fountain. And we do get a 2-drop. Okay. So we don't want to play the Moorland Haunt right away. We don't want to get that destroyed by a wildfire, say. So I think we'll just play the Breeding Pool. Play the Selfless Spirit and pass. This is a card that's fairly easy for the opponent to get rid of, but presents a clock, and we can get a little bit of value out of it on the backside with Moorland Haunt. Okay, Growth Spiral. Nothing we can do about that. And Lightning Bolt on the Selfless Spirit. Okay, another Drogskol Captain. That'll be nice for later. We'll play the Moorland Haunt here and hold up Spell Queller. And if they do nothing, we can make a spirit out of the Selfless Spirit in our graveyard. Okay, another Haunt. We'll just play Flooded Strand instead. We could play Drogskol Captain here to improve the power and toughness of the spirit. And then we'll have Force of Negation up for next turn. I'm a little bit worried about what kind of counter magic they could have in hand here. And if they just have Lightning Bolt for the Drogskol Captain, then that's quite the pain. Maybe we just hold up Spell Queller instead. It would be a little bit easier if we had another spirit in the graveyard for the Moorland Haunt. Or, say, a Collected Company, so that we could be acting at instant speed. Or Rattlechains would be fantastic. Again, so that we could be playing at instant speed. I just don't want to be putting these captains out and exposing them like this. Okay, Sanctuary. Are they putting Lightning Bolt on top? What are they putting on top? They might put the Growth Spiral up just to draw a card. Seems like they're quite flooded. No, they're going for the removal spell. Makes sense. Oh, they chose not to use the Mystic Sanctuary ability. So that's representing a spell, sorry, not a Spell Queller, a Snapcaster Mage. Quite hard. Let's go ahead and crack the Flooded Strand. And we find Mausoleum Wanderer. Okay, so we can play the Wanderer and still hold up quite a few things. So we'll just attack for 1 to start. Okay, no Shark yet. We'll play the Wanderer and pass. Okay, here's a Growth Spiral. We could target this with Spell Queller, but that would leave it open to Snapcaster Mage. Okay, let's just pass here. If they kill our Wanderer, we have access to Haunt. Okay, Electrolyze. We could Spell Queller that. And then we'll have access to Force of Negation on the opponent's turn to save our critters. Okay, Mystical Dispute. So we have Mausoleum Wanderer to counter the dispute. And now that we have a spirit in the yard, our Haunt is turned back on. We don't have the mana for it this turn, but I believe that Haunt will be quite good in this matchup. And if they just have access to Snapcaster Mage Lightning Bolt, then we have the Force of Negation, and we can put down a Drogskol Captain next turn. Okay, so they're not biting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we probably want to hold up the mana for Force of Negation. We'll just attack here for 3. I am terrified of playing these captains. They have all these manas left open, and because they didn't put the Lightning Bolt on top of their deck, I am quite sure they have Snapcaster Mage. No, this looks like a Shark Typhoon. Okay, so they'll take 1 here, and then they'll get to cast the Electrolyze. Unfortunate. We could Force of Negation the Electrolyze here to stop them from drawing a card and keeping our spirit. We're looking to draw another land off the top, so we can potentially play our Drogskol Captains 2 at a time. Otherwise, we have access to the Haunt. We have 2 spirits in the yard. Okay, here's a Jace. Are they just going to bounce our spirit or brainstorm here? So now I'm looking for a Skyclave Apparition to get that Jace off the board. And they are looking at our top card. Is that something you're going to leave on top? They leave on top. Okay. Oh, attacking with a shark? Oh no, I I hit the 1 button by mistake. That's a punt. I did not want to hit the 1 button there. I thought that we were still in the opponent's end step. I would have liked to have played Drogskol Captain Hierarch here and attacked for 3. Alright, so we're just going to play Hierarch here. Should have played that pre-combat, but misclick. Then we'll make a Spirit token with a Moorland Haunt, and then we'll play Drogskol Captain on our turn. But it's looking pretty poor at this point. Opponent's got a Jace the Mind Sculptor that is doing work. So they're going to be able to draw an extra card on their turn every turn, as well as have a fantastic selection. Are they attacking this turn? No, they're going to leave it back as a blocker. Okay. We'll make a token. And we find Supreme Phantom. Okay. Damn, I wish my spirits had haste here. They have all their mana untapped. So my plan here is to make 1 more Spirit with my Moorland Haunt on the opponent's turn, and then play the Drogskol Captains one after the other. Kind of go grindy. The unfortunate thing is the Jaces means that the opponent can grind far better than we can. And Anger of the Gods cinches it. Doesn't even kill their shark. Doesn't put the creatures into the graveyard, so we can't continue to Moorland Haunt here. I don't know that that one misplay cost me the game per se. I think this game was already pretty out of hand. Okay, we do get a land, but it comes into play tapped, unfortunately. So we'll just play Drogskol Captain Go. Alright, we're going to concede. Okay, we have a 1-land hand. Our 1 land does not cast our Hierarch. We have no other 1-drops. We do have Mimic, but like I said, we're missing a color of mana here. We could play Glasspool Mimic, Seachrome Coast into Supreme Phantom. I don't mind that. We'll have Supreme Phantoms for days. So let's go ahead and try this. We got a Spell Queller off the top. Looking for another land so we can get that Drogskol Captain out. Okay, we do find the third land. So we'll start with the coast, play Phantom. Would have been nice if we had Rattlechains instead. We could have played that at the end of the opponent's turn. Okay, here's Uro. Ramping the opponent. And we get Moorland Haunt. So I think we probably play the Haunt Captain and attack for 2. We could also play a secondary Supreme Phantom. But they're not playing red, it seems, so I don't think we need to play around Lightning Bolt. Okay, so we'll hit them for 2 and pass the turn. They're going to have to do something quite quickly. We're going to have an army of evasive threats very fast. Next turn we're playing 2 Supreme Phantoms. Oh, a Wilderness Reclamation. Too bad we don't have Spell Queller up here. Looks like opponent has something to do on their end step. Assassin's Trophy. Okay. We'll go get the Plains. And we find Collected Company, but we have no green mana. I think that we want to probably play Supreme Phantom, hold up Spell Queller here. And we'll tap the Snow-Covered Plains so that we have access to the Moorland Haunt if they don't cast a spell that we want to counter. But that Wilderness Reclamation is quite nice for the opponent. Fortunately, they are low on cards in hand. Okay, Maelstrom Pulse will Spell Queller that. But they will be able to untap their lands on their end step, so they might have an answer for the Spell Queller. And that would spell doom for me. Oh, Selfless Spirit. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and put that in play. And I think we just put the Supreme Phantom in play as well. Get some extra damage in. Selfless Spirit is going to make it difficult for the opponent here. But they do have access to a lot of mana. So they could do some taking turns effects. Plenty of things they could be doing here. Nissa for X is 0, so this is just going to die. They'll have a Fatal Push that way. So they can Fatal Push the Spell Queller. But we have Selfless Spirit to save our Spell Queller. No, this is something else. What is this? Oh, no, this is Uro. Uro is fine. So they were putting the Nissa into the graveyard so they could recast Uro. But we have a bunch of flyers. So they're looking to draw a card here to potentially stop me. Fortunately, we have the Selfless Spirit. Okay, so we can bring in Rest in Peace versus Uro. Skyclave Apparition looks very good. Spell Queller looks very good. I might want to take out the Collected Company then. If we're bringing in the Rest in Peace, we're bringing in extra spells. Seems I do like to side out Collected Company. Pretty much anytime we're bringing spells in, I want to do that. We could also be bringing in Force of Negation and Path to Exile. But it seems like the opponent is on a more spell-heavy kind of a list. They had quite a bit of removal there. Okay, so we have 2 lands. 3 if we count the Glasspool Mimic. We could play Cavern of Souls, Aether Vial. We have Selfless Spirit turn 2. This is fine. We'll keep this. Apparition is a nice answer to Reclamation. Okay, and we get Rattlechains. Amazing. Big fan of Rattlechains. So I think I want to Flooded Strand or Cavern of Souls here. We'll put the Cavern out first, because I don't know if I want to get a green source with a Flooded Strand. Probably not. Probably want to just go get Hallowed Fountain. Noble Hierarch isn't looking too good if we don't put it out turn 1. And we have the Aether Vial to put it out turn 2 if we draw it. Otherwise, we're going to look to put out a Rattlechains at the end of the opponent's next turn. Okay, another Selfless Spirit. Cool. Play the Cavern of Souls, name Spirit, and pass the turn. Okay, so they're holding up 3 mana here. No fear, we'll put a Rattlechains out. Okay, they have a Quaddle. And we get Drogskol Captain. Okay, so we can put the Captain out, and then we'll have access to Selfless Spirit to protect the Captain. And this doesn't have Death Touch yet. Because of the Rattlechains, Drogskol has Flash, so let's go ahead and attack. And we can Glasspool Mimic the Captain next turn at instant speed with a Vial. Okay, we're not going to use the Aether Vial here. That puts us at risk if we activate it. We'll pump it up to 3, and then we'll just play a Selfless Spirit. and they'll have to respond to that, and then we can flash in the Mimic. Okay, they're remanding to draw a card because it can't be countered. All right. So we've got a pretty good fighting force here. We have access to another Selfless Spirit if we need it. Otherwise, we could draw a card. But I'm feeling pretty good about our chances here. Okay, here's a Damnation. So all of our creatures gain indestructible. And now we have lethal. We have a 3-land hand. We are on the play, so I'm going to keep this, and we'll be able to play Rattlechains on turn 2. We'll start with a tapped Temple Garden, so the opponent won't know what we're playing. And then we'll be able to play Cavern of Souls. Not an ideal start. We would have preferred to have Aether Vial or Noble Hierarch. Okay, so fetching for a basic island Temple Garden. They are keeping it untapped here, so they have some sort of something. We'll put our Rattlechains out and see what they do. Nothing. Okay. I think we'll just play Windswept Heath here and attack for 2. Hold up Spell Queller. We are also holding up Apparition because our spirits have flash. Okay, here's a Growth Spiral. We're going to go ahead and stemmy their mana. Definitely an aggressive play. Hopefully we don't get punished for it. Oh, untapped Steam Vents, we're getting punished. Lightning Bolt, okay. They have the Uro here? No, they don't have it. And we're just getting lands off the top. We do have access to Moorland Haunt, but we wouldn't be able to play Supreme Phantom. I think we'll just play the Moorland Haunt, so that we can hold up the activation, and then we can make our play based on what they do. Either play the Apparition to answer something they have, or make the Spirit and next turn Supreme Phantom, so we can attack for maximum damage. Okay, another Growth Spiral, nothing we can do about that one. Okay, here's an Omnath. So we're going to apparate that. That'll keep them from gaining life. Because the draw trigger went onto the stack, they weren't able to put a fetch land into play. Mystic Sanctuary. That'll return the Lightning Bolt. So they'll be able to get a 4/4 token out of that. But not yet. We do have Supreme Phantom here to hit them for 6 if they have no answer to the Apparition this turn. No, they do have the Lightning Bolt coming up. So they got their 4/4 token, and we don't get to do the damage. Unfortunate draw there, but we do have Moorland Haunt. So we're going to play the Island, play the Supreme Phantom, and we'll hold up the Moorland Haunt so we can start making spirits. We do still have quite a quick clock here. Opponent only has 2 cards in hand. No blocks. They're going to need an answer here. We do have lethal on board. They have the path. Okay. No need to activate the Moorland Haunt yet. We can still wait till the end step to do it. And we find a captain off the top. Very nice. Okay, it looks like they're responding. Okay, they're smarter than that, so they're just going to take the 3. It looks like they do have something, so we're just going to let the 3 play out instead of throwing the captain into their answer. Okay, this should fizzle the path to exile. Okay, we managed to get that win. So we're playing another Uro pile, this one with Omnath. I'm wondering if we want to bring in Path to Exile for this. I think it is our best card in the sideboard, being able to take out the Omnath. But I'm wondering if is it better than Collected Company? Being able to play the Collected Company end of turn, we have a bunch of evasive threats in the air, and we have Spell Queller as an answer to it. So I'm not sure that we want to bring in anything. They're almost certainly playing Uro, so we could bring in Rest in Peace. I mean, that might be just the reason to bring in Path as well. Okay, so, not a great hand here, but Mausoleum Wanderer into Hierarch does present a little bit of damage here. I think it's just barely good enough to keep, but not really happy with it. We could also put down Hierarch into Mausoleum Wanderer Hierarch, attack for 2. I think that's slightly more damage on the first turn. They might have Lightning Bolt for our Hierarch here. Maybe a Remand. Bounce the other Hierarch. Well, they do have something. Ah, Mana Leak. Yeah, that's fine. So we could attack for 1, play Wanderer. We could play Selfless Spirit. Don't mind playing Selfless Spirit here. It'll be a good clock going forward. It's evasive, and it'll protect our Spell Quellers. We might want to just go ahead and put the Glasspool Mimic into play tapped, so that we can guaranteed play Mausoleum Wanderer next turn. This might be an Uro here. Would be better than Teferi. No, it's Teferi. Unfortunate we don't have Spell Queller available. Okay. Another Glasspool Mimic, so we'll definitely put one of those into play. And I think we'll hold up Spell Queller here. The question is, do we attack the Teferi or the opponent? Attacking the Teferi puts it to 2, so they won't have the option to draw a card with it. Ah, of course. So we don't even have access to our Spell Quellers here. That's a bit of a punt. Should have put the Wanderer out. Yeah, Teferi really neuters our Spell Quellers. Oh, and here's a Jace. So we might just be out of luck here. We're going to attack the Teferi, I think, just so it can't draw a card. We'll play out some of the cards in our hand, but it's looking pretty bad this game. I think we're going to have to go to game 3. Would definitely put the advantage bar heavily in my opponent's favor. Do we want to play Spell Queller here or Selfless Spirit? We definitely want to play Selfless Spirit, I think. Ever since we've started this match, I've had Uringer The Medicine Does Not Control Me stuck in my head. Just because of the opponent's name. I'll have to listen to that when this league is over. Get that earworm out of my head. Thank you, opponent. Engineered Explosives on 1. And we got a Rattlechains. So we could play Glasspool Mimic and copy the Selfless Spirit so that we can save our critters from the Engineered Explosives. I think the correct play from the opponent would be to activate the explosives immediately with the Mimic on the stack. I think it should seem pretty obvious what we're going to copy here. And that makes their play fairly obvious, I think. We can get the Jace off the board. Oh, they have the Path. Brutal. Brutal. So if we activate this Spirit, then they can engineer explosives. And if we leave the Path to resolve, then Glasspool Mimic has to copy Mausoleum Wanderer or Noble Hierarch, and the explosives gets it all anyway. If we could cast the Rattlechains, we would be fine, but Teferi says no. Okay, so we're going to take the paths back out, bring the companies back in, or we could bring in Force of Negation. Yeah, Force of Negation to counter those Planeswalkers. We'll keep one path. Could also play Unified Will. Should have brought that in. Okay, this hand is fine. We'll keep this. Get that Aether Vial going. Just wondering which land I want to grab here. Probably Breeding Pool. Cancel that. Aether Vial first. Land off the top would be perfect. Ah, we miss. Okay. So we'll just play Hierarch and pass. We'll have the second Hierarch off the Aether Vial, and then we'll be good to go. Land off the top, please. We get one. Okay. Because we got a land here, we can attack with a Noble Hierarch. And then we have access to Rattlechains or Selfless Spirit with the Aether Vial. And we can put Skyclave or Spell Queller into play with mana. Okay, so we could quell this. I don't mind that. And then if they try and do anything to the Queller, we have Rattlechains to save it. Let's get the Hallowed Fountain. Okay, so I don't want to activate the Aether Vial here. We would lose value to Path to Exile that way. We'll take this up to 3. Oh, Drogskol Captain. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, we'll just pass here. Wait for them to blink. Hour of Promise. Search for 2 lands. Okay. They get Field of the Dead. That's not something we're too worried about. We're going to kill them, I think, on our turn. So that's 3, that's 9, 10, 11. So we're just missing out on 1 damage here. So we want a Lord off the top. We get Force of Negation instead. That's not bad. That plays. We don't have to worry about dying here. We have a counterspell up. We have Skyclave Apparition. Too bad we missed that 1 point of damage from the Drogskol Captain earlier, but I was playing around Path to Exile. So with the Force of Negation here, I don't care about their Planeswalkers because they would return Drogskol Captain. Cannot counter that. I could apparate it. They would have enough mana to recast it out of the graveyard, so that would put them up to 7, and they would draw 2 cards. We have 9, 10, 11 here. I don't think I need to get the Uro off the board. I'm just wondering, like, is there anything better? I don't think there is. We don't need to worry about their Planeswalkers. I don't think the other permanents are a problem. So we could just get rid of this Uro. The other thing I'm thinking about is if they play an Omnath. So I'm not worried about them replaying Uro here. We're going to allow them to do that if that's what they want to do. Okay, here's a path to exile on the Drogskol Captain. We could Force of Negation that. Force them to continue playing spells. We just need to keep the majority of our creatures alive. Ah, that's good enough. All right. We have a 2 to 3 land hand with Noble Hierarch. We keep these. Start with, I think, probably the Horizon Canopy Hierarch. That would be the worst move against the burn deck, but I want my Misty Rainforest to go get a Hallowed Fountain. Here we go, Basic Mountain. Well, Bloodstained Mire, and it looks like a pass. Okay, Rattlechains, very good. We'll just play a land and pass. We'll hold up Spell Queller and Rattlechains. Okay, another Triome. Looks like we're just going to be playing Uro pile after Uro pile. I think this would be our 4th Uro match, I think. Sacred Foundry. Tapped. Okay. So we're going to put in Rattlechains here. Okay, now that has hexproof, we'll go ahead and fetch. We'll get the Hallowed Fountain we were looking for. Okay, Mausoleum Wanderer, very nice. We're going to play, I think, the Mimic as a land here. We'll have access to Spell Queller if we need it, otherwise we can Selfless Spirit Wanderer. We'll just attack for 3 and pass. Okay, another tapped land. It's got to be pretty difficult for the opponent playing through what we're presenting here. I'm actually considering putting the Selfless Spirit into play. Now we'll put the Rattlechains in, and then we can flash in the Wanderer. This is tough. What do I do here? Maybe I'm supposed to play the Wanderer first, and then if they try and do something, we can catch them. Okay, so they're taking a little bit of time here to consider. They did not hit 6 to just pass the turn. They might have something. This is why the Wanderer is a nice first play. I think it would have been fine going either way here. But we might be able to get them with the Rattlechains. Okay, here's a silence. Opponents can't cast spells this turn. So I think we'll just go ahead and play the Selfless Spirit in response. And if we lose Rattlechains, that's no problem. We'll still have a nice clock. So we already have access to double white and double blue. We'll just go and get the island then. Okay, another Rattlechains. So we're going to play one of the Rattlechains so that our Mausoleum Wanderer buffs. And then we'll hold up Spell Queller. So we're attacking for 4 here instead of 3. Let's set up our auto yields here, play a little bit faster that way. Okay, opponent is conceding here. So we've seen Path to Exile and Silence. This is not something that I would have normally expected from an Uro pile. We might be playing something a little bit more on the rogue category. Regardless, I do like the idea of my counter spells here. If they're playing red and white, they're going to have access to quite a bit of removal. I'm wondering if I want to cut one of my Hierarchs in that case. I don't think Firewalker is really the way we want to go, though. That's more for prowess decks and burn decks. We could take out one of our Glasspool Mimics, perhaps. No, I like taking out one of my Hierarchs. Could also take out my Apparitions, but we didn't see enough of the deck to really know what we want to be doing. I definitely like the Selfless Spirits here as an answer to Anger of the Gods. So we're going to try this. And again, getting the Hierarchs out of the deck means that they won't be dying to anger. Okay, we're back into the game. This is going to be, oh, here we go. 2 Hierarchs and 1 land. Not great. Not great at all. I am definitely considering keeping this, though. If we don't run into Lightning Bolt from the opponent, we're going to be okay. but it is quite risky. Let's take the risk, I think. We're going to keep it. This is definitely the wrong land, but it casts our Hierarchs. We could definitely be pretty heavily punished here. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope that we don't see a pair of lightning bolts from the opponent turn 1 and 2. Maybe we get an Aether Vial off the top. Oh, another land. Perfect. Unfortunately, it does not produce blue mana. Fingers crossed, Hierarch survives. Okay, that's a tap land. Good start. Sacred Foundry tapped, and it looks like they're passing back. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to want to play a second Hierarch, and I think Selfless Spirit to start, so that we can play through Anger of the Gods. Okay, opponent didn't do anything for their first 2 turns. And we're going to have access to Rattlechains. Oh, they've just conceded. This hand is not good. Not good at all. We do have Aether Vial turn 1, which is quite nice. But the Glasspool Mimics, well, they could be very good if Apparition is good. And they're playing a Lurrus. So if they're playing a Death Shadow deck, this is a good hand. But if they're playing a Burn deck, this is a bad hand. We're going to keep it. Quite the risk, but we're into that. We'll start with Cavern of Souls, named Spirit. We could start with Horizon Canopy, but because they have Lurrus here, this could be a bad idea to be losing life. So I think Cavern of Souls is our best play. Okay, Temple Garden. That's a surprise. This could be Hardened Scales, or oh, there we go, Noble Hierarch right on time. I think we play Horizon Canopy and just leave the Mimics. We'll want to use those as copies of Apparition later. We'll just pass the turn and we'll play Hierarch EOT. Razor Verge Thicket. Okay, they're going for the call here. Getting Devoted Druid. Okay. So they're playing a, obviously a Devoted Druid list. Hey, thanks for the follow, Dave. How did you find the channel? Spell Queller off the top. Very nice. We'll play the Moorland Haunt. So we have access to the Spell Queller with Flash. Skyclave Apparition next turn. I think we just attack for 1 and pass the turn. All right, all right. There is quite a bit of magic content. Thank you for... Oh, yeah, I think that's fine. We don't need to Spell Queller that. We can apparate it. We want to have a target for apparitions here. I don't think we want to draw a card, though. We want to keep the mana for Spell Queller. And we find Selfless Spirit. Very nice. Okay, so I think we apparate the Druid and then hold up Spell Queller. Okay, it looks like they're going to put the Druid into the graveyard instead, so that they can go get it with a post-mortem lunge. But if they do that, we'll have access to the Glasspool Mimic to take it back. We could also quell a post-mortem lunge. Oh, Finale of Devastation, X is 2. So we can quell that. And then X would be 0 if the Queller dies. Okay, so we're going to always yield, always no. Now that the Aether Vial is at 3, it can stay at 3. Attack for 4, pass the turn, holding up Spell Queller and Glasspool Mimic. Things are looking pretty good for this game. We have it pretty well in hand. Big mana plays are going to be a little bit of a problem, though. But they're just putting Lurrus in hand here. Ah, Duskwatch Recruiter. We could quell that, or we could apparate it. Let's just go ahead and quell it, I think. Rattlechains, very nice, very nice. Attack with everything except for the Hierarch. Rattlechains means we can also cast the Selfless Spirit if we need to. And we have Glasspool Mimics, which can copy the Queller or the Apparition. So we should have this locked up. Okay, here's a Lurrus. We can just go ahead and counter that, I think. And that causes the concession. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to want to bring in the Path to Exiles for sure. We could bring in Rest in Peace because of the Lurrus, but I think that that's just a little bit too slow. The Path to Exiles are going to save us in a situation where we would just be dead otherwise. Rest in Peace is more of a long game thing, and we're not in for the long game. We want to finish this in the first 5 turns. We're going to be looking to take one more card out. I'm thinking probably the Selfless Spirit. Green-white, the removal is going to be Path to Exile. The Remorseful Cleric, you think? Yeah, I could buy that. I think I would like Remorseful Cleric more than Selfless Spirit. So that's pretty good. Definitely like that. Otherwise, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I think I would still prefer to have the Selfless Spirit over a single Rest in Peace. But there is some argument for that one either way. I'm going to keep the creature in this case. Not a big fan of Unified Will in this matchup. The opponent will be playing creatures, so it's very possible. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow, Kumbak. Okay, this hand is fine. It's not great, but it's definitely playable. We could be punished for it, though. Opponent is mulliganing. They've already gone down to 5. And they found 5 that they like. Mishra's Bauble makes sense when you're playing Lurrus. And a Giver of Ruins. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. Spell Queller is very nice, though. Now, normally I would like to play the Aether Vial and then put the Noble Hierarch into play next turn, but that means that we're off of Spell Queller. We could play the Hierarch first, and then if we don't want to play the Spell Queller on turn 2, we could put the Rattlechains into play. It is unfortunate not putting the Aether Vial into play on turn 1, but I would really like to have access to 3 mana on turn 3, or rather on the opponent's turn 3, so that we could counter either Heliod or what's the name of that white creature? It's a 2/1. You don't put -1/-1 counters on your creatures. Yeah, that's it. Vizier of Remedies. Yeah, I think it's really important to get this Spell Queller online, so we're going to forego the Vial, which is not something that you really want to do, but it is, I think, a necessary action here. Okay, there's the Vizier. Playing the Vizier out first means that they probably don't have Devoted Druid yet. Yeah, 1 damage, no problem. And we get Path to Exile. Okay, so that can get rid of the Giver of Ruins. We could hit the Vizier with it right now as well, as an option, but then we don't have access to the Spell Queller. So we'll just play Flooded Strand, pass. And then we have lots of options on what we want to do. No attacks. And end step. They don't have access to Collected Company mana. We'll just play a Rattlechains. Okay, here's the call. Well played from the opponent. Waiting for us to lose the mana so that we can't quell it. And they went and got Devoted Druid. Okay, another Noble Hierarch. I want to hold up Queller, so I could play the Aether Vial. That means we wouldn't have the path for the Giver of Ruins, but they're already really low on mana here, so we don't want to be giving them that. We'll just quell the Devoted Druid and move on. So if we're not casting the Path, we can either play Hierarch or Aether Vial. Aether Vial will be better in long term. Playing the Hierarch now, though, is going to increase our clock. I think that it's just if land can veil. Oh, yeah. But this doesn't... it doesn't counter their spells, right? So the spell wouldn't get protection from blue. It just says can't be countered, right? Or does it... let's just check it out. Okay, so you and permanents you control get hexproof, but the spells simply say cannot be countered. Spell Queller will exile the spell. So Spell Queller will still work through Veil. But thank you for bringing that up. It definitely would have... that's good. Okay, so we got a pretty good clock going now, and we can hold up Spell Queller for their Devoted Druid. Oh, nice. We got a captain off the top. Queller, yeah, it is. Queller's a fantastic card. Okay, so I think we just play the Drogskol Captain and then attack for 6. We can hold up Path, and we can play the Aether Vial. But we might actually just want to crack the Canopy instead. So I'm going to hold up the 2 mana here so that we can crack the Canopy to draw a card if the Path to Exile is no good. And we have lethal next turn. So we should just win this. I don't think that they can do anything except for killing the Drogskol Captain would be the best thing they can do. We got it, 4-1.